pick and prevail in your fantasy football league with the help of our starting lineup. At host to quarterback the show, we have Nick Giacobbe. Up next, a dual threat in Dynasty and Daily Fantasy, we have Cody Repass. And finally, working the waiver wire, we have Nick Cap. These are your playmakers that will provide you with sleepers, breakouts, and busts to help you achieve fantasy glory. This is the PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to our Week 11 live show of the PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast, where we give you our predictions, our picks, in the hopes that we help you prevail this Sunday and every Sunday after that in the 2021 fantasy football season. I am your host, Nick Giacobbe, and joining me is Nick Cap. Nick, it's Week 11. How are we feeling?
This season has flown by, I feel like. I can't, we're almost a couple days away from the thing. Games. This season's flown by. Every week I feel on here have been like a weird week. It's been a weird week. We gotta accept every week's gonna be a weird week.
Yeah, it's been a weird NFL season. I feel like there's really no super favorites. Obviously the Rams and the Bucks and Chiefs are still around there and the Bills, but there's no super favorite. Teams are losing left and right. We're not seeing the normal just the normal stuff that we usually see when it comes to the NFL. So it's been a weird season in fantasy. Obviously, we've had injuries and stars haven't performed. Then you have guys like Cooper Kupp just come out of nowhere and be the wide receiver one. But I guess that kind of happens every year. But anyway, we have a lot of fun stuff to get into. We're going to go game by game. We're going to answer your questions. So anytime you throw a question in here in the chat, we're going to answer it. We do have one question here I'm going to get to right off the bat. So if this is your first time listening, thank you so much. We do a live show every single Sunday. Usually around 11:30, kind of depends on the scheduling of things. Sometimes I have work or something else is going on, but we will announce beforehand when our live show is on Sundays. But we usually try to do it around 11:30 Eastern time. We also have two other shows throughout the week on Tuesdays and Fridays. The audio version of those shows is on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere where you could find a podcast. You could find the PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast. If you're on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating and a review. If you want to watch the show, the video and audio version of the show is on our YouTube channel, PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast. Social media, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, PrimeTimeFFPod, Twitter, and Facebook and YouTube, PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast. All right, let's get to this question first. Nick Barone. Do I start Waddle, DJ Moore, Josh Jacobs, or Chase Claypool in my flex for PPR? I know Nick asks a question almost every week, and he has this super ridiculously stacked league. Is this your 8-man league, or which league is this? Are you in this one with him?
8-man league.
Christ. I mean, I'm taking Josh Jacobs out because I think he's touchdown or bust every week, so I'm taking him out. I think DJ Moore's a pretty good matchup. I'm going to say Waddle against the Jets. I think that's the best matchup out of those four. I'm going to say Waddle against the Jets.
I agree. I think Waddle's going to have so much workload in this game where DJ Moore, you got a couple question marks with Cam, so we'll see what happens there. Chase Claypool, he's coming off the injury. Josh Jacobs, like you said, touchdown reliant. Waddle, he's a rookie, but he's been super reliable thus far. That's such a massive workload, so no question in my mind I'm starting him.
And the other thing is Big Ben's also coming off the COVID list somehow. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. Somehow he's off the COVID list in 8 days. Maybe Big Ben's found the cure for COVID that nobody else has. I don't know. Maybe he used the horse pace that Aaron Rodgers used, so I don't know. But very weird. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a little bit. So thank you for the question, Nick. We appreciate that. All right, we're going to go game by game now. I'm going to give you a start sit. We're going to talk injury news every single game. And Nick, we're still having information flood in. So if my information's wrong at all, let me know. So I am going off the show notes that we have. Earlier this morning, Lamar Jackson was 50-50. He was sick. Then I saw about a half hour ago is quote unquote not doing well enough to play. Then I saw he was out. So Lamar Jackson, I guess he's on the inactive list. I think the list just came out like 5 minutes ago. So Lamar Jackson is out against the Chicago Bears. Ravens also have Hollywood Brown out due to his thigh. He only had one limited practice this week. He played last week, but he's out this week too. So we could talk both of them because they're both pretty fantasy relevant. So what does this mean for your fantasy team, Nick? If you have Lamar Jackson, I'm assuming you have a backup. you should have had a backup. I mean, I know this wasn't a serious injury, but most people do carry 2 quarterbacks. But who's maybe somebody that you have to go right now to the waiver wire and get if you have Lamar Jackson?
I mean, Tua is a good one. Tua's got a great matchup against the Jets this week. If Tannehill was dropped in your leagues because of the worry with Julio and Derrick Henry and the inconsistency so far, he's going up against Houston. Derek Carr, I mean, he should be rostered at this point in most leagues. Let's see. Kirk Cousins, he's had a pretty good year. The Green Bay's defense has been tough, but he has 2 interceptions and he has I think 18 touchdowns on the year. So, you're getting a reliable start there. I think Kirk would be a good plug and play. That's really it, though. I mean, the other guy I was considering was Simeon, but Taysom Hill was actually ruled active, and I know he's going to be rushing the ball a lot. So
Nick Barone said that he's starting Cam Newton because Lamar Jackson is out. I know you're
Cam's a good
guy.
play.
I like your play on Tua. I'm looking at our league right now. Again, we're a 10-man league. We have 20 spots on our team, 10 on the bench, and Tua is actually available in our league. So I don't even know who has. I don't know who has Lamar, but he should pick up Tua. Whoever does. Daniel Jones is there. Joe Flacco, Big Ben. I'm never starting Big Ben again. Justin Fields against the Ravens might be a sneaky good start now. I know they have a couple guys out on defense too. Carson Wentz is on there too. I like Carson Wentz season long, but I don't like him today against the Bills, so I wouldn't play him. I think Tua is the best option you've got. Hollywood Brown's a pretty big out too. He's been a really good flex play. He's really been a good flex play. A guy that was probably drafted around 10, maybe 9 or 8, but still, that's a guy you probably drafted as your wide receiver 3 or 4, playing more like a wide receiver 2 this year. So how big of a hit is that for you, Nick, if you have a Hollywood Brown?
I mean, even if you had him playing and you didn't have Lamar, I mean, I wouldn't really trust playing him anyway. But it shouldn't be too big a hit because, when you take those later guys, even though you're relying on them for a flex play week in, week out, that means you drafted 7 guys before him and at least one of them should be, or you thought in week 1 would be a better start. If you're not dealing with injury, flex position, very easy to plug in anybody off the waivers, any of those top guys, just for 1 week, one and done. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a long-term injury because he already practiced this week. So I assume he's going to be back next week as long as they're not playing on Thanksgiving. So I wouldn't be too concerned long-term about him, but, I mean, it's a tough break. But I don't think if Lamar wasn't playing, I don't think he'd play him anyway.
Do you know where Marquis Brown is right now in the rankings when it comes to receivers?
Wasn't he top 10?
He's 6.
Yeah.
It's a big out. Yeah, usually if the receiver is such a deep position, you probably have to play somebody off your bench. Hopefully you have a receiver or 2 on your bench so you could just slot in there, but that's a rough one. Allen Robinson is also out, but he shouldn't have been started in any leagues anyway at this point, but I'm reporting that news. So, Nick, who's your biggest – give me one start, one sit for the Bears, for the Ravens at the Bears.
Starting, I'm going with David Montgomery. Montgomery should have a day. I do like your take on Fields. I think Fields could have a good day. I just haven't seen enough out of him yet to trust him as a quarterback. But with that rushing ability, I don't trust Jalen Hurts to be the future of the Eagles franchise. I don't trust Justin Fields to be the future of the Bears. But, when you offer that kind of rushing upside, it can work in most games. On the Ravens side of the ball, I really don't like anyone. I think outside of Mark Andrews, I don't think there's anyone else I'd reliably start. And if Andrews wasn't a top 3 tight end on the year, top 5 tight end on the year, I'd probably consider benching him too.
Mark Andrews is my big sit because the Bears, according to Fantasy Pros, have given up the 4th least amount of fantasy points to tight ends. So I don't even want to play Mark Andrews who's playing quarterback. It's not RG3, is it? Might be RG3.
Oh, it's Brett Huntley.
Oh, it is Brett Huntley. Ugh. Yeah. I don't even want. Whoever your backup tight end is, if you have one with Mark Andrews, I would consider benching him. I really would. If you have a backup tight end that's maybe Zach Ertz, or maybe if you have Mike Gesicki, or maybe even Dan Arnold, I would probably consider one of those guys because I don't think Mark Andrews is going to have a good day at all. I think he's going to be on our bust list come Tuesday. As for plays, I saw something in Matthew Berry's newsletter. I'm subscribed to his newsletter. You all should too if you're a fantasy person. He does a really good newsletter every single day. And he said something about the Ravens defense not being good against wide receivers when it comes to DVOA. Yeah. So I would play Darnell Mooney. I am playing Mooney, I think, in 2 leagues because I have to. Amari Cooper's out, and I have a couple other guys, so I do need to play Darnell Mooney, but I would play Mooney. I think he'll get a lot of targets from Justin Fields. I think he could get a touchdown, so I think he's a guy that can be on your third or fourth flex spot. So I would play Mooney from the Bears side. And Nick Barone is another question or two. So it says, play 2 wide receiver. Should I start wide receiver PPR? Waddle, Mike Williams, Ayuk, or Gallup? I'm going to say Waddle for sure. I'll play Gallup. I'll play Gallup against the Chiefs defense as the wide receiver 2 over there.
That's tough.
Oh, he also said, and should one of these wide receivers replace A.J. Dillon in the flex? A.J. Dillon is a bajillion% going in your flex spot. Let's start with that. A.J. Dillon and Waddle. That's easy for me. There's nothing else. A.J. Dillon and Waddle.
He needs 2 wide receivers as well. So it's 2 wide receivers and a flex.
No, he's saying, and should one of these wide receivers replace A.J. Dillon in my flex?
No, I'm pretty sure he means he has 2 wide receivers and a flex spot open. He has A.J. Dillon in the flex. So should he start, for example, Waddle, Mike Williams, Ayuk?
Okay. In that case, and you're playing A.J. Dillon no matter what. And then if I had to pick 2 of these guys, I'm saying Waddle and Gallup.
I agree with Waddle. I know Williams has struggled, but I think I just have to bank on the upside.
I thought about that, but I don't know. All right. Colts at the Bills. No injuries in this one. I did write that in the notes. So, Nick, give me 1 start, 1 sit. Colts, Bills.
I'm sitting Michael Pittman. I love Michael Pittman year long, but the Bills have been the number 1 defense against wide receivers. I think the entire offense struggles. I do like Jonathan Taylor. I don't think you can bench him. I think every other piece on that offense, you have a good reason to bench him. I'm benching Pittman in 2 of my leagues this week. If you have the flexibility, I do it, even though he's been a top 10, top 12 fantasy receiver so far. And then on Buffalo's side of the ball, I mean, shoot your shot. I mean, everybody I feel like could be a start there. The Colts defense has not been too good on the back end. So all those wide receivers, good starts, in my opinion. I think all of them can deliver. I don't know how they've been against the tight end, but I think Knox has been pretty consistent, so I think you can get away.
I'll take it from there. The Colts have given up the 4th most points, again, on Fantasy Pros to tight end, so I would start Dawson Knox this week. Depending on your tight end situation, I would start him over Mark Andrews, though. I know Knox is still coming off the injury, but he's a red zone favorite of Josh Allen, so I would start Dawson Knox this week over Mark Andrews, knowing the situation. As for somebody that I would sit, I would actually sit. I like your take on Pittman, but I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to sit all Bills running backs because the Colts have given up the 3rd least amount of points to fantasy running backs. So I'm sitting Zach Moss. I'm sitting Devin Singletary. I'm not playing either of them in this matchup. Next game, Lions at the Browns. This is filled with injuries. Tim Boyle is starting at quarterback because Jared Goff is out with an oblique injury. This is Tim Boyle's first career start. He's been at Green Bay for the past 3 years. Did not attempt a pass in 8 games last year. He did appear in 8 games, I guess, as a backup. I don't know, but he didn't attempt a pass. Also for the Lions, Jamal Williams is back. I don't really see an issue with that, though. He's not eating into Swift's carries like I thought he would be at the beginning of the year. DeAndre Swift has actually proved me wrong. I was staying away from him, and I shouldn't have. Baker Mayfield will play. He's going to be in a lot of pain. He was limited practice Thursday, Friday. He's dealing with, I think, the knee injury and also the separated shoulder. I forget which injury that is. Donovan Peoples-Jones, his groin. He has a chance, but not a great one.
He was officially ruled out.
Ruled out? Okay, so I didn't see that. Okay, so he was ruled out. And Nick Chubb is back after missing last week. I think he was COVID last week. I think that was his injury. I know he's been out a couple weeks. So, Nick, any thoughts on these injuries and how they're going to affect some of these people? So let me pull up this question because we had 2 questions on Twitter. Same question. First from our brother Joe, my brother Joe, I should say. Basically a brother to you. But Joe said, if my Twitter wants to load, I think it's Goddard so should Hopkins be started amidst Jared Goff's absence? Goddard is my other option. Then also Rance Winnipeg responded and said, I have same situation and going Goddard. I don't love it, but Hawk has been horrible. To answer this question, I'm going Goddard because, again, I don't know what you're going to get from Tim Boyle. I actually had the Lions in my spread pool up until yesterday, and now I flipped it to the Browns because the Lions aren't a great football team, and now you're putting Tim Boyle in there. I don't trust that. So I'm going fully with the Browns on this one. I'm not touching Hawkinson this week. I'm benching him if I have the other option.
I don't like either play this. I mean, I would look to pivot entirely. I would see if there was another tight end on your waiver wire.
But who, though? I mean, the Saints aren't bad agagoing tight ends. I mean, what other tight ends could be laying around there?
I don't like it. I don't like. Then
give me a guy you would play. Then who's a guy you'd play off the waiver wire?
I mean, if Knox is there, he's coming off the injury. I'd play him.
Okay, I don't think Knox would be there. I think he's owned in at least 50% of leagues.
Let me check. I'll pull up tight end position. I'll see.
While you're doing that, Nick Brown has another question. Cam Newton or Russell Wilson? This is the last game that Russell Wilson will play this season if he doesn't win. So it's win or go home for him. I think he has to play exceptional tonight. I think that they need to beat the Cardinals, and they're going to need him to play well. And if he looks bad today, he's going to get shut down because then there's another injury right there. So if he plays bad and they lose this game, I don't want to see Russell Wilson play another football game this year for the Seattle Seahawks. Or any other team, I should say. I don't want to see Russell Wilson play another game. So I would play Russell Wilson this week at quarterback. But it's a make it or break it game for me as a Seahawks fan, as a fantasy manager, because I probably wouldn't start him any other week as a fantasy manager anyway. I'm starting Joe Burrow over him this week in my dynasty league. I have to play Russ in my other league, so I don't have a backup. And you know what? Maybe I'll go pick up Tua right now. Maybe I should. So I'm giving Russ one more week.
I love Russ. I think he bounces back this week, but I'm taking Cam Newton purely off matchup.
Okay. Any other tight ends you wanted to mention?
Looking around the same projection, Dan Arnold I'd play, Dalton Schultz I'd play, Dawson Knox I'd play, Zach Ertz I'd play.
Okay. They're owned in most of my leagues, all those guys. So one sit, one start for the Lions. I'm going to say start. I mean, you're starting Nick Chubb no matter what. This is going to be a heavy Nick Chubb game, I think. You have to start him. Obviously, he's Nick Chubb. But the Lions are the fourth worst defense against the run. The Browns will obviously not want to use Baker Mayfield too much. I'm sure they're going to be up big because this Lions team is horrendous. And again, Tim Doyle starting at quarterback. As for benching, I feel like you can't bench DeAndre Swift, but it's just going to be really bad game script if they're up big. They're not going to run Swift, but maybe get some garbage time. So Hopkins is my bench, actually. We just talked about it. I'm benching Hockenson this week.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm benching every Lion not named DeAndre Swift. I actually looked up Tim Boyle's college numbers to see kind of where he's at as a quarterback, and they're worse than Kendall Hilton, who stepped in against the Saints and threw and had one completion across the entire game.
Christ.
Tim Boyle should not be rostered, not in fantasy leagues, in the NFL.
No.
Based off his production. I'm not trusting anyone on that team other than DeAndre Swift. I think they're gonna, even if they're down a lot, they're gonna pound the ball that many times. And on top of that, the only other person I'd consider playing from this matchup, not named Nick Chubb and DeAndre Swift, is the Browns defense.
Yeah. Nick Brown also said if you CMC's a running back to tag team Newton, yeah, you could double up on them if you want to play Cam Newton.
Stack them, you're going to get every touchdown.
Yeah, basically. All right, next game, Texans and Titans. Jeremy McNichols is out. I think Dante Foreman's going to start for the Titans. That's the only injury. Yeah. Backup. And Julio Jones obviously out on the IR. Who's a start and a sit for you, Nick?
Start Ryan Tannehill. He's kind of struggled. People thought he'd be consistent, bottom of the top 10. That's just not where he's been at. I think he bounces back against the Texans. The Texans have been absolutely horrendous on defense. I think A.J. Brown has a huge game. I think Brandon Cooks has a good game. Another person I would like to start would be the running backs out of Tennessee, Deontay Foreman. I think you could get away with Adrian Peterson. I think they pound this ball for the entire second half of the game, and they have no problem scoring a touchdown each. For sit, I mean, that's really what – I mean, I don't even know. I kind of like the game script for everybody outside of, the Texans running backs, and I'm not playing the Texans running back to begin with. So, I mean, if you want to sit, there you go, but I would bench them every week, so –
Brandon Cooks is my big start. Titans have given up the third most fantasy points to wide receivers in the season, so I love Brandon Cooks this week. And as for a sit, again, all the running backs. I know you like the running backs in Tennessee. I don't like them though. I'm sitting the Titans running backs and I'm sitting the Texans running backs. I just don't think any of them have really a chance of scoring 12 plus unless they get a touchdown. So I don't want any of them on my starting roster. Packers at Vikings. Aaron Rodgers has a toe injury apparently. He's going to start, but it is a concerning injury to have. He has to play through it the rest of the season, probably. Sounds like something he may need like surgery on after the season or something, but he can just tape it up and kind of deal with it. Aaron Jones is obviously out. A.J. Dillon will be the starter. So, Nick, a start and a sit for the Vikings-Packers game.
On the Packers side of the ball, I love A.J. Dillon this week. I think A.J. Dillon should dominate the Vikings defense, especially now that I'm learning the news of Aaron Rodgers' injury. It's going to be a lot of ground and pound. It's going to be those short Devontae Adams passes. I highly doubt he tries and rolls out of the pocket and creates the longer play like he usually will 3-4 times a game. On Minnesota side of the ball, I'm benching Adam Thielen. This Packers team has been really good at shutting down teams recently. Mahomes, they held to 13 points last week.
Mahomes in play was backup. What's his name?
No, Jordan Love played.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My brain went to mush. They did shut down Mahomes. You're right. Yeah.
Let me pull up their schedule, but they've been holding teams to, and Thielen.
I agree with you. I was gonna say I'm not benching Thielen and Jefferson, but I am worried about them because the Packers are giving up the third least amount of fantasy points to wide receivers. So I think that's a really good call. And I agree with you on A.J. Dillon. There's really nothing else I could say on this one. Yeah, you're 100% right on this one. So I can't even deviate from either of your points.
Sounds good.
Dolphins at Knicks Jets. Nick, I have this question listed here. I think it's Flacco. Who is starting for the Jets?
It's Joe Flacco.
It's Flacco. All right. Cool Joe is starting for the Jets. That's disgusting. A start and a sit. Mike White. Ugh. My big starts Tua and Gesicki. Like those two guys are gonna have really good games. Actually Waddle and Gesicki, but Tua works too. Just start all of them against the Jets. Like it's perfect. And as for a sit for me, I'm trying to find somebody to sit in this game besides a Jet. I mean, all the Jets maybe. Like, I know you love Michael Carter, but still, like, I just don't like starting. I am starting Corey Davis in the league because I have to, but I don't know. Sit the Jets. Like, I don't know. You don't know what you're getting with Flacco. Like, Flacco's not an elite quarterback. He's not even a good quarterback. He's probably shouldn't be on a roster either. Maybe just a backup, I guess, but I don't have any confidence with Flacco starting. If I'm starting like Corey Davis, I don't really have confidence in that. So I would bench Corey Davis, even though I am playing him this week, just due to my bench not being great.
Upset alert. Jets upset Miami.
I hope not. I have Miami in my spread.
Well, I'm telling you right now, the Jets are going to upset them. Miami's been on a little bit of a hot streak. It's cooling off this week. You say what you want about Flacco, say what you want about the Jets team. They've allowed a lot of points this year. I'm not worried. I don't think Flacco's the answer at quarterback, but I think Robert Saleh confuses Tua a lot more. He's been running complicated defenses. The problem is he's going up against veteran coaches and veteran quarterbacks. Brian Flores is not a veteran offensive mind. Tua is a young quarterback that's been struggling in most games outside of the Ravens game. I think the Jets upset them. I think Michael Carter goes for a day, shows you he's the number 2 running back in the class. I think you could get away with Waddle. I think he has a good game script. I think Gesicki has a good game script. I think the Jets pull off the upset this week.
So I want to mention this. I've got a question on Twitter from DV212121. PPR League, Knox or Goddard and Bateman or Elijah Moore. I would really like Bateman in this one if Lamar was playing, because I think Bateman's really talented and he's been improving week in and week out. I don't really love Elijah Moore, so I'm going to go with Bateman just for the fact that somebody has to catch passes over there, and the Bears haven't been good against wide receivers. As for Knox or Goddard, I'll say Knox.
I have a question for you. Do you know Elijah Moore's numbers over the last few weeks?
I don't.
Okay. Over the last 4 weeks, he's had 6 targets in each of those games, had 11 points, 13, 28, 14. That's since their bye week. I'm trusting Elijah Moore.
I'm not trusting Joe Flacco or the New York Jets.
I'm trusting Elijah Moore over Rashad Bateman with Brett Huntley at quarterback. I'll take the veteran quarterback.
And I guess you're saying Knox. You're saying Knox for the tight end.
Yeah,
right?
I'm Knox over Goddard.
All right,
that's been my take.
All right. Next game, Saints at Eagles. Alvin Kamara is out again. I think this is only the second game he's missed in his career. I think I could be wrong on that, but I feel like he doesn't miss games. Out with a knee injury, he's going to miss his second straight game. Mark Ingram had 20 plus fantasy points last week. However, both tackles for the Saints, both starting tackles, are out this week. And on the Eagles side, Dallas Goddard did clear concussion protocol. He's going to play. Miles Sanders, a fantasy demon, has an ankle injury, got acted off the IR on Saturday, expected to play. Jordan Howard's had 57 plus rushing yards the last 3 games and 3 total touchdowns, just no receiving yards or receptions. That's a shame because Jordan Howard was starting to become a fantasy relevant player, and now Miles Sanders is back, and he's just a black hole of negativity. So Nick, who is your start and your sit for this game?
I mean, I think we're both going to say sit Miles Sanders. Don't be too happy about his return. Even when he's been healthy, he has not been a good running back this year. He struggled a ton. And my start is Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram's been pretty solid as the RB1 there. And I think he could deliver again. The Eagles have been kind of, they're shocking some people because, 4 wins. I mean, that's tough to get at this point of the season for a team that, in my opinion, is not good at football. But the Saints are a good football team. The Saints are going to beat them. They're going to control the game. They're going to make the Eagles look like, the team we thought they were coming into the year. And I think they manage the clock. That's what they're going to have to do. And I think Mark Ingram delivers in that way.
So according to Fantasy Pros, the Saints have given up the second most points to wide receivers. However, Marshon Lattimore locks down receivers. So I'm a bit hesitant to play Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith's been really good this year. He's been a top 25 fantasy wide receiver. He's had a good rookie season. I'm going to bench him this week against Marshon Lattimore, though. I want no part of that matchup at all, so that's a sit for me. As for a start, I just don't.
Before you move on to your start, I actually want to tell you something I saw on PFF this morning.
Yeah, what do you got?
They called the Devontae Smith Marshon Lattimore matchup the potential best game of Devontae Smith's rookie career, because they said the way Lattimore covers wide receivers is not the way you're going to be able to cover Devontae Smith because his footwork's tremendous. So it's I don't know the breakdown of Devontae Smith game, but
I'm interested about it now. Yeah, I'm interested. We'll see what happens. If
Football Focus is they're pretty accurate usually. With matchups. So I'm paying very close attention to Smith, but I'm still not playing him because I don't trust the matchup against
that. That's a good call. Well, I mean, I'm gonna have to raise my hand on Tuesday if I'm wrong. Or Monday, whenever we record that show. I guess my start will be Jalen Hurts. You probably start him every week. He's been a top 10 fantasy quarterback. New Orleans has given out the 4th most fantasy points to quarterbacks on the year, so start Jalen Hurts. All right, football team at the Panthers. It's a Cam Newton revenge game. He's facing his former coach. Ricky Seals-Jones is out with a hip injury. Logan Thomas is still not back, so I don't know who's playing tight end for the football team, but they are not playing tight end for your fantasy team, that's for sure. Who's a start and a sit for you this week?
Starting Cam Newton, and I am benching Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin's going to have a very tough matchup against this team. He's going to get shadowed by Stephon Gilmore. It's not going to be pretty. It's really not. I love McLaurin. I think he's super talented, but when you're going up against a former defensive player of the year with, in my opinion, a trash can at quarterback, I don't think he's able to deliver.
Who's he going against? Gilmore's back this week.
Yep.
This is first week back?
In. Yep, Gilmore's in.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I didn't know that one. Okay.
And then Cam, I like.
I like DJ Moore this week because the football team's giving up the most fantasy points to wide receivers, so I really like DJ Moore. So yeah, I'm gonna start. I say DJ Moore is a start this week. And
just real quick, also piggybacking because you said the wide receiver matchup, the number 1 PFF matchup for wide receiver was Robbie Anderson against the cornerback 2 here, because wide receiver 2s have delivered massive numbers against Washington.
He had a touchdown, I think, last week with Cam Newton, so I am going to I picked him up in my Dynasty League and see what he does this week, see if there's any consistency there. For me, I'm going to bench, or I'm going to pump the brakes on Antonio Gibson. I know he had like 20 fantasy points last week with 2 touchdowns and 60 yards. Panthers have been the 10th best defense against running backs. I'm also going to pump the brakes on Cam Newton because I think DJ Moore is a good game, but he's playing his former coach, the guy that probably knows him better than anybody. So if anybody knows how to scheme to defeat Cam Newton, almost like you said, Belichick schemed to defeat Tom Brady, he didn't defeat him, almost did, only won by 3 points.
Yep.
Ron Rivera might have a defensive scheme ready to go for Cam Newton, so I might be a little hesitant. I don't think I would play Cam this week just for that reason.
That's fair. I think in terms of a revenge game outside, like in my opinion, this is more valuable than Cam Newton returning to play Carolina or Brady. Obviously, it's different with the 20-year career, but like the typical revenge games against your old team. Cam Newton's against his old coach. And on top of that, it's the team that's been rumored to sign him for 2 years and never made a move because they said you're not good enough to play quarterback for us.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, that's more of a revenge game. And I'm hyped to watch. Like if I could put any game on with Red Zone, that's the game of the week for me because Cam rock them. I really hope he does.
That's fair. All right, 49ers at the Jaguars. James Robinson is heel. He missed this last week due to a heel/knee injury. He's expected to play. I think he's officially active. I think I saw that. Limited practice Thursday, Friday, and Elijah Mitchell, who's been a pretty fantasy solid running back too for the past few weeks. He had a finger procedure or something on Monday or Thursday. I think he had the injury on Monday, then he had a procedure on Tuesday. Didn't practice all week. He's out. So is JaMychal Hasty. So Jeff Wilson is starting. So are you starting Jeff Wilson in your fantasy lineups as a running back too?
Yep, he's my start he's my start from this game.
Okay.
Jeff Wilson's delivered a couple times this season, or not this season, in prior seasons whenever he's been the backup. And he's put up big games. I remember him having a 33-point performance. I remember him having a near 40-point performance, maybe over 40 with our bonuses. He's had a couple massive games. And Jacksonville, there is no shot Jacksonville's going to hang with the 49ers who just beat the Rams. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. The 49ers should roll the Jaguars this week.
They should, but it's the NFL, and that's why I have the Jaguars in my spread, like plus 8.5 or something like that. My big sit, I don't have a start yet. My big sit's going to be Dan Arnold, who we've been raving about for the past few weeks. But guess what? The 49ers are the number one defense against fantasy tight ends, only allowing 4.3 points on average per game. So I am going to bench. I'm going to bench him. And as for a big start, I mean, I'm looking for something here. I guess you could always start Jeff Wilson. Yeah, I mean, pick him up off the waiver wire and play him. So play Jeff Wilson. All right, next game. Seahawks Cardinals. I'm going to watch Colt McCoy beat the Seahawks this week, and my season will be officially over. Chris Carson is out for the year with a neck injury. Once I saw it was a neck a couple weeks ago, I figured this is no good. So Alex Collins will start, and Alex Collins is probably getting 40 carries because Pete Carroll's biggest takeaway from the game on Monday was we've got to run the ball more. Okay. Okay.
Not okay.
There's a specific word in sign language I would like to show Pete Carroll, but I'm not really going to do it on this show. But I love Pete. I love Pete as a person. I've met him a couple of times. He's always been super nice to me. I'll always appreciate the success that he gave this football team. But it's time to go into the retirement home. So Kyler Murray ankle is doubtful. Are you starting Kyler, Nick? It's a 4:00 game. Like, hypothetically, let's say you have Kyler and I'm trying to think of a backup quarterback that maybe will be playing at 1:00 that you drafted as your backup. Maybe like Jalen Hurts or like let's say that. If you have Jalen Hurts and Kyler, are you holding out for Kyler or are you just starting your quarterback that's in the 1:00 game?
If you have Jalen Hurts, you're starting Jalen Hurts. I think
I'm using him.
I think Jalen Hurts is a bad comp for it though.
I'm trying to find a better comp for the 1:00 game. I'm trying to think of any game at the 1:00.
So anyone a 1:00 game.
But some of you drafted as a backup because you drafted Kyler rounds 4 or 5.
Cam Newton.
Would you start Cam Newton in this situation? You have Cam Newton and Kyler Murray. You have to make the decision in the next hour.
I'll roll the dice on Cam.
What about Tannehill?
I'd roll the dice on Tannehill.
Kirk Cousins.
I'm going to say no just because Green Bay just shut out Russell Wilson.
Last one, Tua. I would play Tua. Even if Kyler goes, he can't be 100%. He can't be 100% if he goes. Your best situation is you drafted Joe Burrow as your backup.
Yeah, so I have Kyler Murray in 2 leagues. I have Russell Wilson as my backup and Joe Burrow as my backup. So Joe
Burrow is your best option because I drafted Russell Wilson and Joe Burrow.
Well, in 2 different leagues. Yeah. So
that's what I would do.
Burrow's a safer backup for me.
Hopkins is also out with a hamstring injury. Second game that he's missing in his career with the hamstring. So we've seen a lot of hamstring injuries, especially to wide receivers this year. I think that's what Julio's out with now. AJ Brown was out with a hamstring. Allen Robinson, a lot of hamstrings this year. So Nick, who's a start and a sit from the Seahawks Cardinals game?
Start Tyler Lockett, baby. We're going big. I think Russell's going to deliver a couple big balls. He needs to have a confidence game. I think he's going to force himself to air it out. He's going to work a couple times.
Oh, he forced himself to air it out last week. That's for sure. I watched Russell Wilson force himself to air it out. was the
I
problem.
hope he does it a couple more times.
That was the problem with the game. They played a cover 2 safety over him, and he just said, "Screw it, I'm still gonna just toss him." Idiot.
Hey man, I'm rolling the dice with him. I think he's gonna have to throw that ball. I think Lockett could have a good game. DK struggled recently, a lot more than I was hoping, but Lockett, I say you could lock him in. I think he has a fine day. On the other side of the ball, I'm not trusting any of the receivers on that team. I don't know who they're throwing the ball to. They've all been pretty good. I like Ertz. I don't really like anybody else there just because there's so much of a timeshare between Cousins, Rondale Moore, and AJ Green. Even with no D-Hop, I just don't know which one of the three is going to be the boom.
For me, I'm going to go the running backs. Big start is James Conner. Seahawks have given up the third most fantasy points to running back, so you're starting James Conner, and I think they're going to lean on him with Colt McCoy. And I'm benching Alex Collins. I don't care how many times Pete Carroll says he wants to run the ball. The Cardinals have given up the 5th least fantasy points to running backs. Collins has had under 10 fantasy points, I think, 3 straight weeks now. The offense looked atrocious last week. They can't run block. They can't pass block. The line is as bad as it's ever been. Russell Wilson's not making smart decisions, so I'm not starting Alex Collins this week. Actually, I think I am in 1 or 2 leagues, but I don't think Alex Collins should be started in leagues. I lost J.K. Dobbins for the season, so now I'm stuck with a second running back, and it's been Javonte Williams or Alex Collins. Bengals at the Raiders. No injuries in this one. Yay. Who's your start and sit for this game?
I'm starting Joe Burrow. I like Joe Burrow against Vegas. Vegas has been pretty good against quarterbacks for the first half of the year, but ever since Gruden left, the defense has kind of been in shambles. I think Burrow goes for a day. I have him as my backup for Kyler. I think I'm probably going to lock him in and not question it after this hour. On the Raiders side of the ball, I don't really like anyone other than Waller and Carr. I think those are your only 2 guys there. I feel like it's become, it was a lot more defined in the team at the start of the year when Ruggs was there, and you said, okay, Ruggs is going to be our deep threat. Renfro is going to be a reliable short guy, and Darren Waller is going to be the go-to. Josh Jacobs is our running back. And as the season's kind of progressed, Bryan Edwards has not really stepped up to the deep ball role, but kind of, fluctuated all over the field. I feel like the Raiders are trying to do too much. I think they came into the season pretty well prepared. They have for the last 3 years. They've been well over 500 halfway through the year and then fall off a cliff. And then, when they try and adjust throughout the year, they struggle because they have the depth. They just don't know how to stick with their game plan. And I think that this is what's starting to unravel with this team at this point of the year.
For me, I'm going to say, T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd you got to worry about because the Raiders have been good against wide receivers the whole year, only giving up the 7th least amount of fantasy points. Just starting Chase every week, no matter what. He doesn't worry me. Higgins and Boyd do because they put up a bunch of stinkers. I don't love Josh Jacobs, but the Bengals have given up the 7th most fantasy points to running back. So Jacobs could get in the end zone once or twice. That's 14, 12 points right there. He gets you a couple more. I think Jacobs could have a solid day. I don't like playing him because he gets hurt, but he's talented. So I would say Jacobs could be a solid play for you this week. Cowboys at the Chiefs. Amari Cooper tested positive for COVID 2 days ago. He's unvaccinated, 10-day quarantine, going to miss the Thanksgiving game. That sucks for somebody like me that owns Amari Cooper in 2 leagues, especially leagues that he needs wins in. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was activated off the IR this morning. Officially, how much will he play? Question mark. We don't know because we don't know how healthy he is. Darrell Williams has been the better fantasy running back over the last few weeks than Clyde Edwards-Helaire was over the first 4 weeks. Alrighty, Nick. First off, are you starting any Chiefs running back in this game? Let's start with that.
Well, I'll start with my start sit then, and my sit is all the Chiefs running backs.
Okay, that's smart. There you go.
Yeah, I'm not playing any of them. On top of that, Dallas has actually been pretty solid against the running back. So even this week where you don't know what you're getting from the 2 running backs, you also have a tough matchup on top of that. I'm already not trusting the matchup alone, and I don't trust the talent of either of them. I think Williams is a better running back, but I think they try and force Clyde Edwards-Helaire out there. I think they say Clyde's the guy we need to go make a Super Bowl run. I don't think that's the case. Darrell Williams was the guy that had 2 or 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago that won them against the 49ers. Go with Williams. Williams is your better back. I think you need to just accept that, say we failed on our number 1 pick, and move on.
All right, Nick Brown says Jacobs or Montgomery.
Montgomery.
Yeah, I'll go with Montgomery. I think the talent's there, and Jacobs can get hurt. And I just don't like playing Raiders, honestly. For me, for my start sit, I'm going to say my big start's going to be Dalton Schultz. Chiefs have given up the did I steal it from you? Oops. Chiefs have given up the sixth most fantasy points to tight end. So I would say start Dalton Schultz, especially with Amari Cooper out. I agree with your sit. I'm sitting those running backs for sure. So I think anything else you want to say about that game, or that's about it?
Well, something kind of in the line of that game, and we'll move on to the Bucs game shortly. But so I actually in one of my leagues did a trade 2 days ago. So pretty much my team was my two quarterbacks that I drafted at the start of the year, Dak and Brady. So I mean I'm set at quarterback no matter what. But it's 3 wide receiver leagues. So I said I'll just move one of them, whichever one someone wants. I'm happy to move because I trust both of them starting every week. So I said, all right, who wants Dak or Brady? Someone wanted Dak. And they traded him Godwin for Dak. And, probably could have got a little bit more value for, but Chris Godwin's been pretty consistent. Now I get the stack of Brady and him. My other stack that I had on the team was Dak and Amari Cooper. So I actually traded for get some more depth at the position with Amari Cooper's inconsistency lately. And then he goes and gets COVID literally 15 minutes after I make the trade. So we plugged in the position, but at what cost? We go get the wide receiver down for the year.
Sunday Night Football, Steelers at Chargers. Big Ben was activated off the COVID list after 8 days. I don't know how. He tested positive. I don't think he's vaccinated, as far as I could tell.
I thought the report was that he is vaccinated.
Then why would
I think he was positive with symptoms, which was the problem.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, that's fair then. Okay, because I was wondering why Ben would have to be out only 8 days and Amari Cooper would have to go for 10. Okay, so that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Chase Claypool toe practiced all week. He missed last week. We thought it could be kind of serious and something he missed a couple weeks for, but he'll be playing this week. Alrighty, Nick, who's a starting to sit for this one for you?
I said it earlier. I think I'm riding on the high hopes of Mike Williams here. I don't think he's a sit, but Pittsburgh's been very middle of the pack against wide receivers. I think he could go for a deep bomb here. I think the Steelers are going to struggle this week. My sit is Chase Claypool. He's been my guy for the year. I thought with Juju out with the opportunity there, he would have stepped up. But coming off a leg injury, he most of his production with Big Ben's noodle arm has been yards after catch, and with it coming off a toe injury or foot injury. He's not going to be running as crisp as he usually does. I think he gets stopped shorter. I think Deontay Johnson's their number one guy. I think he's a lot more talented.
Johnson's been the number one. He's been Ben's favorite target. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with you on the Steelers wide receivers. I'm very hesitant about anybody but Deontay Johnson. Even Deontay, I'm a bit hesitant. So yeah, I would bench Claypool. My big start's going to be Najee Harris because the Chargers are giving up the second most points to running backs. Big Ben coming back will give a lot of dump offs to Najee. Should have a really big game. I see a 20+ point performance and a top 3 running back performance for Najee Harris on Sunday night. All right, Monday Night Football. Giants at the Bucs. The Giants have been the most injured team in the league this year. Seattle's been banged up pretty too, but
the
Giants,
Cleveland,
and Cleveland and the Giants probably 1 and 2. Sterling Shepard is out with a quad injury. Saquon Barkley ankle, limited practice all week. He's questionable, but I think he's playing.
It sounds like he's playing.
Yeah. Devontae Booker, limited practice all week. He's also questionable. Antonio Brown, the only Buck ruled out so far. He's missing his 4th straight game now with his ankle injury.
Yeah.
And Gronk's back. He missed last week. He says he thinks he's good to go. He practiced twice this week. I think Bruce Arians said he's game time decision, though. So let's start with that, Nick. Are you starting Gronk or Saquon? You got to make this decision now. Like, are those guys that you're putting in your lineup right now?
I'm lucky enough where I own the handcuff to Saquon, and every league I own Saquon. So I ain't got to make that decision now. But if your options are that, I'll shoot the shot because I think Saquon's too talented of a running back. You drafted him in the 1st round or early 2nd round if he fell to you. I
think he's playing too. I'm pretty confident from what I've seen that he's playing.
Yeah, all the reports have been a lot more positive than they have been over the last few weeks. I think Saquon gets in there, and I think he's too talented not to play him. Gronk, I didn't like Gronk. You and I didn't like Gronk going into the year. He's delivered those first 2 weeks, but I think the tight end position this year has been a lot deeper than it was last year. I think that every week you're seeing 2-3 guys go out there and boom at the tight end position. You did not see that last year. Last year you saw, 5 guys getting double-digit points, and that was it. This year, pretty consistent. I think you can wait on Gronk. I think you can wait to see how healthy he actually is. When you're saying, I think I'm good enough, yeah, no. If you're on that football field, you got to have 100% confidence in yourself that you're healthy and good to go.
Yep, totally agree. So, do you have a big start, big sit? Are we
Leonard Fournette? I think you'll be on top of him too. Playoff Lenny.
All right.
Giants 27th against the running back position. Leonard Fournette, go out there, go have a day against them on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, that's a really, really good one. I'm trying to think. I mean, I agree with you on that one as a sit. I'd say Giants wide receivers because the Bucks, as bad as their secondary have been, they've given up the least amount of points to fantasy wide receivers. So I would bench Kadarius Toney, Galladay, like whoever it is. I'm not playing a Giants wide receiver and hoping for a Monday Night miracle. The only guys I'm playing Brady, Godwin, Evans, and Leonard Fournette and Saquon. Those are the guys that you're playing on Monday night to me.
I agree.
So, alrighty, that is our live show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for sending in the questions. We really do appreciate it. Schedule kind of should be fine this week. It's Thanksgiving. I know everybody's going to have their fun on Thanksgiving. We'll have our fun. We're going to figure out our recording time, but we'll have 2 shows for you for sure. We may just have to record them earlier than normal, but that's okay. We will have something special for our whatever early show is Tuesday. Yeah, we'll do Tuesday. We'll have something for the Thanksgiving games, a nice preview for that, and then maybe some Black Friday deals for Friday. So looking forward to it. You'll hear from us on Tuesday. Audio version again, iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, anywhere where you can find your audio podcast, video and audio on our YouTube Primetime Fantasy Podcast. Nick, best of luck in week 11. Best of luck to me. Best of luck to all of you out there in your matchups. We'll talk to you guys on Tuesday.